Hi, welcome to Conspiracy Cases. This is a case that we started in our previous episode. And so if you didn't listen, go back, check it out. An event that took place in 1991, a UFO that was seen but never reported because of fear that she wouldn't be believed. And so we met Diane in our first episode, and her story would have just remained a story that her husband and her mother heard until a mysterious videotape showed up. That's right, videotape. In February of 1992, 6 months after the sighting, a package from Canada arrived at the Edgewater, Maryland office of Bob Osler. Osler is a well-known UFO researcher and a former NASA mission specialist. The package had no return address. Inside were documents, pictures, a map, and a videotape, all pertaining to the 1991 sighting that we looked at in the first episode. The tape's label had one word on it, Guardian, and it also had a fingerprint on it. He was not familiar with the word, didn't know the connection between the word Guardian and any UFO literature that he was familiar with as a researcher. And at the time, he was unaware of Diane's sighting. However, Bob soon discovered the videotape depicted what she had reported with stunning accuracy. See, the tape, as he watched it, showed a cluster of brightly burning red flames similar to flares. A dark disc-like object hovered to the right on the tape. It emitted a bright glow from its underside. It was capped by a rapidly blinking blue strobe light. The tape was perhaps the most convincing of the documentation that Bob had seen in his 12 years of research. He could tell the object was a disc-shaped object because the flashing light on top reflected off the curved surface of the disc below it. He felt that this was a real event occurring in a field, as opposed to a prop that was set up somewhere in a room or some kind of weak studio somewhere. And it had an extraordinary amount of characteristics that just seemed to ring of authenticity. And to be honest with you, Bob had seen some stuff that was fake. And so he was looking with a very skeptical eye, a curious eye, to be sure, but skeptical. The map sent with the tape showed the area of West Carrollton, Ontario, as the location where the tape had been recorded. You'll remember that that is the location of Diane's sighting that we talked about in episode 1. So Bob went to West Carrollton, along with a UFO researcher that he took with him named Graham Lightfoot. Together, they interviewed Diane, whom Lightfoot had met when he investigated her 1989 sighting, because he had gotten wind of it from a family member who had heard her story. And so although she didn't want to share with the public, UFO researchers had already put Diane on their radar. Now, a couple years later, after the 89 sighting, which was never explained, she's seen something else in 1991. Lightfoot becomes the connection point of that. To their surprise, as they interviewed her, she described exactly what they had seen on the tape. Lightfoot felt like her description was so vivid that she could not have made it up. So they decided, let's show her the tape. And so although they've heard her story, they've heard her description, and she has told them what she saw, now she sees the tape of what they were given by Guardian. And as she watches the tape, her jaw drops because it was accurately showing what she had seen that night. Stunned, no doubt. Fearful, a little bit, because someone had been close enough to film the event. But Diane was also relieved and happy because now she had evidence to support what she had seen. All of a sudden, this mysterious event that had been unreported was now verified. Next time, in our next episode, as we continue to explore this case, we're going to look at that verification, what it means, how extensive the verification was, and what did they really find. Don't go very far. We'll be back soon with another episode in this conspiracy case.